Welcome back to FM21 Redemption. The youth report is in. It's a golden generation. 2 attacking midfielders that we should be keeping a close eye on. I'm not getting my hopes up, if I'm honest. We've been down this particular road more than once before and had our fingers burnt on multiple occasions, but we could do with the reinforcements because the January transfer window has closed. We weren't able to bring anybody in due to the poor state of our finances, and the squad is stretched. Suspensions, injuries, players at the African Cup of Nations has meant that we are looking a little bit thin, and league form has suffered. As a result, we're out the cup as well, but a win today, amazingly, could still keep us in with a chance of achieving FM21 Redemption this season. Let's start off with the league table then. You can see that we've slipped off the pace a little bit. We're 5 points behind PSG now in second place, but let's not delude ourselves. This is still looking like a great season. We came up last year with dreams of avoiding relegation, and hey, if we had loftier ambitions, it was a mid-table finish. So to be in those Champions League spots with 22 games gone is an excellent performance from the team. But we are now slipping away from PSG. We've started drawing games. We've started losing games. As we said, the squad is looking pretty stretched. But there is a glimmer of light. PSG have already played their third game. They went down to a 94th minute defeat to mid-table Metz, which means we were to win our game today, we'll be up to 54 points, just 2 points behind them. And we keep the dream rolling on just that little bit longer. PSG are a juggernaut that I don't think that we can overtake, but just to be in the shake-up for as long as possible is a glorious achievement in itself. And today we are playing Valenciennes, who are welded to the bottom of the table. They've only got 6 points all season, but I'm not confident because the boys have not been performing well. Let's show you the form that we're in. So in that last episode, we snatched that 3-3 draw with PSG, and we had a good month to follow on the face of it. We beat Angers 2-1. We demolished Nice 5-1 before a 1-0 win against Dijon when we needed a very late goal from Frankie Nix up for a corner to get us the 3 points. And we didn't have an XG above 1 in that game. In the next game, we had a much higher XG, but we could only stick one of our chances away. And those two performances weren't great, to be honest. We then went into a short winter break and we emerged from it a little bit groggy. We looked very flat against Brest in our next game. We had a higher XG than they did, but don't let that fool you. We looked pretty listless in this game, and our forward-thinking players did not play well at all. We're desperate for Al Belushi back at this point because Ben Yedder has gone right off form. Bart has been either injured or away with his national team in the African Cup of Nations. Carvot's been moving around. Sturvold's been coming in. Carvot's been experiencing his own injury problems, and it's contrived to lead us to a bit of a poor run of form against Monaco in our next league game. Things were a little bit worrying. We didn't have a shot on target the entire match. We had an XG of 0.1. People who were coming into the side were playing poorly. And it started to make us think whether we had the strength in depth to keep up the good form we'd been showing. We went out of the Cup to Lens before what looks like a very good result against Marseille, but we were a goal down in this game. And on about the 30-minute mark, we decided to make a change. Somebody said in one of the comments of the previous video, with your lack of depth out wide, why don't you consider a backup tactic where you play a diamond in midfield because you've got plenty of strikers and plenty of good central midfield players. Now, we don't really have a DM, so a diamond was always going to be tricky. But with about 30 minutes to go in this game, we switched to a tactic we've been training that's a 4-3-1-2. And it sparked us into life a little bit. Up until that point, you can see our XG had been pretty poor. But after that, we started to look a little bit more threatening. We got Carver on the score sheet. He played just behind a front two for the last half hour of the game. And we'd brought Larson Pleam into the side, and he came off the bench and managed to get a winner for us. And so we stuck with that 4-3-1-2 for our next game, and meeting with Lens again, but in the league this time. Now, we lost to a 96-minute goal in this game, which was pretty disappointing. But if you have a look at the XG, up until injury time, we were well ahead of our opponents. And the formation was actually playing pretty well. Sturvold only pulled a 6.6, but he was creating plenty of chances. Ben missed a fair few of those chances. Al Blushi came in for his first start since breaking his leg in that second game of the season. We played Chan and Labate as Mazzalas out here. In fact, let's show you this tactic because it's the one we're going to use today. So here is the Steffi graph. If we show you the players that we've got missing for today's game, it'll probably make a little bit more sense why we switched to this more narrow formation. Maciek Carvot has been picking up a series of niggly injuries. He's got a bruised thigh at the moment. He's fit enough to be on the bench if it's an emergency, but he's been having a number of these little niggly injuries. Giaria, who has been filling in over on the left wing for us on occasion, well, he's unavailable for today's game through suspension. And for the last month, Lansana Ba has been away with Guinea at the African Cup of Nations, and he really is the player we want playing this inside forward role out there on the left. With those three players unavailable, it leaves us a little bit short in wide positions. So instead we're going to play our 4-3-1-2. It means that Salim, Chan and Sturvold can be Mazzalas trying to drift out wide, making them harder to pick up, allowing them maybe to get into little pockets of space and create for us. It means that we need another attacking midfielder. The man we're going for is Nicola Hartmann, who again we bought in last season. He probably hasn't got the game time that I'd envisaged for him this campaign due to the good form of other players, but at 21 years old, he's got some pretty decent attributes. He's going to go in there as an attacking midfielder. It means that Ben Yedder can have some support up front for today's game, because his form has not been great recently. You'll see it's a good 6 games since he got an average rating of above a 7, and the goals have dried up a little bit as well. But Al Blushi is back. He started in the last game and scored in the last game. He's still making his way back to fitness a little bit. We want to try and race him lightly if we can. So Larson Pleam is there on the bench. But the 4-3-1-2 means that hopefully we can compensate a little bit for our lack of strength in depth when it comes to the wide areas. We've not abandoned the Ted Danson. It's there ready for when Lansana Ba and Maciek Carvot are back. It's still our default formation. But for today, we're going to try out the Steffi graph and see whether we can go out there and get a result against the team that's bottom of the table that might drag us in with a whisker of an outside chance of being in a title challenge going into the last third of the season. And we're underway. Okay, we're home against bottom of the table. We're in poor form, but they are in worse form. So we're hoping that today we might be able to get back to winning ways. Teams have been parking the bus against us recently. I expect it to be nothing different today against Valenciennes. So we're hoping that our movement, our trickery, those Mazzalas maybe drifting into pockets of space might mean that we can break down what I think is going to be pretty stubborn opposition. It means we're a little bit lighter at the back without the 3 centre halves. We're relying a little bit more on a back 2 to be able to keep the opposition at bay. But we need to have a little bit more potency up front when we don't have wide players available to try and get us some wins. However, and they're striding forward again. In fact, on the break, they've looked pretty dangerous for a team that's only got 6 points this season. A lot of highlights in this as well. And when we talked about trying to open the opposition up, we've relied on a 30-yarder from a free kick to get us the breakthrough. It's a great free kick, don't get me wrong. But I was hoping to play some attacking football that might just prise the opposition open. We've not done that yet. Maybe that early breakthrough might mean that the opposition come on to us a little bit and we can exploit some gaps. But we're not even at half-time yet. We've thumped the ball clear, but we're under a little bit of pressure. And this has not been a great performance, and they're in. And they probably should have equalised. Jakob getting in behind our defence. And I think we need to have a little bit of an adjustment at half-time because we've not looked great going forward. Neither have we looked pretty solid at the back either. Okay, we are back underway. We've taken Chan off for Labate, as well as tweaking some of the roles a little bit. Rather than attacking midfielder, we've gone for a playmaker. And we changed the deep line forward to an advanced forward to see if we can stretch the opposition a little bit more. Straight from the kickoff. Well, Valenciennes have come at us, but we've won the ball back. And here he is. He's lost that yard of pace, but he has wriggled away. What he hasn't lost is his ability to slot home when he's in one-on-one situations. He's got great finishing, great composure. If we can just get his pace back up, I think he could still be a threat in this division. Look at him. He just runs through and he's so cool. The drinking man's Lukaku gets us into a 2-0 lead straight after half-time. And that is looking like a much better start to the second half. I'd like to go on and maybe get a third, maybe get a fourth if we could, in order to try and rescue our campaign a little bit and sting us back into action. Lansanabar should be back from the African Cup of Nations in just a week or so. Carvot's going to be returning to fitness. That should make our 5-2-3 formation far more effective. But this would be a good little backup plan if we can get it to work. We've also switched Sturvold from being the Mazzala to being the player behind the front two, hoping that maybe he can craft some chances for us. And here he is. He's dropped pretty deep and he's just picking up the ball and linking up the play. I quite like that. Can we now do something a little bit more devastating? We've got Hartman. Here is Sturvold. Crafting, creating. Grachev slings it over. And Labate is up from one of those Mazzala positions. And, well, he hit that one like he meant it, didn't it? And 60 minutes, we're 3-0 up. And now things are looking a lot better. Okay, back underway. We've made 2 more subs. We're resting Al Blushi. Still making his way back after a very long injury. So, with the game at 3-0, we bought Larson Plemon. We've also bought a young midfielder on called Bruno, who has been in and around the second team. And I think he's come straight off the bench and maybe just got himself an assist there for Larson Plem. We're going to try and get this Bruno a little bit more involved, I think, because he shows a little bit of promise and he's got a professional personality. He's 20 years old. He's just had a birthday and I think we might be able to get him more involved towards the end of this season and help him train on even further. He's made huge strides forward this campaign. And we're going to see if we can utilise him a little bit more. And now we're 4-0 up and we've still got a good 20 minutes to go. Okay, final 15 then. We've just brought the lines down a little bit. So the line of engagement and the defensive line, we've just dropped them both 1 notch each. That little ball over the top was a warning shot. We'd like to try and keep the opposition out if we can and have a much needed clean sheet because we've not been keeping very many of them. Nicola has blasted it long and we're looking to try and win the ball back again. We're giving it away a little bit unnecessarily there and they're around the sides of us. And you can kiss your clean sheet goodbye because Theo Jakob has volleyed a pretty nice effort into the corner of the net. You've got to admire his pluck. He's run to get the ball out of the goal. We're still in this, boys, at 4-1 down. Only got 6 points all season, but you never know. I have capitulated in the past. We've got 13 minutes left. Let's see if this stings Valencian into life and gets a comeback. We're straight into the highlights again. It's a pretty open game, this one. Bruno's got it out to the right wing back. Can he deliver a ball? He's got Labate out there. Larson Plem has looked lively since he's come on. But he's nodded an effort wide. He's scored and had 2 of the good chances to make a bit of an impact. We've still got 10 minutes left of this game, you know. We're only on the key highlights. And it's absolutely raining them. Well, we can't say that we've looked blunt in this game. And I tell you what, Bruno has come in and got his 2nd assist, and that was a decent little ball. Labate, not the player I had lined up to play as a Mazzala, to be honest, but he's come into that role today and looked pretty good. And look at Bruno, this is his debut for the club. He's come off the bench and played 2 lovely balls for the assists, 5-1 up. And I think Valencian can probably give up the ghost for this one. 5-1 and XG approaching 3, 12 shots on target. Shame we couldn't keep a clean sheet. But we've played much better. And we're going for a 6th, by the way. We're trying to hunt down possession of the ball. We got it with Mensah. Slings it forward. Maybe not seen as much from Sturvold as I would like. And I tell you what, Larson Pleam has come on and shown us that maybe he's ready for a little bit more game time, because he's looked lively, hasn't he? Grachev gets the ball out here on the left. And he has sent through a pretty good ball. Larson Pleam is lively. Smashed it past the keeper. We've scored 6. I know we're playing a weak team. This means that we're going to move back to within 2 points of PSG. Not for one moment do I think we can wrestle the title away from PSG. They've won 17 or 18 titles in a row. But for our first season to even be in the shake-up is pretty good. And my goodness, I don't know why Valencian are committing so many men forward at 6-1 down. But they've been caught on the break and it's 7-1. And that, by the way, will not do Benny Yedder any harm at all, because he has been pretty lacking in confidence over the last 4 or 5 games. But to race through and coolly slot home, that's a good sign as well. We could do with another good little run now, keeping the pressure on at the top of the table, because it's all about making sure we finish in that top 3, I think. Champions League football in our first season since promotion would be wonderful. So, I think we're going to say that the 4-3-1-2 delivered for us today. We'd like to see it work well against a slightly better standard of opposition. But that was a pretty good performance. We're going to tell the lads well done. We're going to have a quick look at the table. Get out of this little press room. And there we go. PSG on 56, Toulouse on 54. We are a good distance ahead of Lille. And even Lille are getting a Champions League place. Although, third place doesn't go straight into the group stages. You've got to qualify. So if we could finish second, that would be superb. It's time to go offline and play some more games again. We've got another fixture with PSG looming. If we could carry on staying close to them during the run-in, well, FM21 Redemption might just be on the cards.